When a loved one gets an ALS diagnosis, it's natural for family and friends to want to jump in and help. But here's the big question. How do you turn that group of caring people into a real team? You know, a unified, effective care team. Okay, let's dive into exactly that and figure out how to build a system that truly supports everyone involved.
Feeling overwhelmed? Yeah, that is completely 100% understandable. But the good news is there are proven ways to build that team. Think of this explainer as your practical guide. We're going to turn that challenge into a structured, supportive, and, most importantly, sustainable system of care.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to define our mission. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of actually building the team and setting up the systems to make it all work. And finally, and this is so important, we'll talk about how to keep that team going strong for the long haul.
All right, so first things first, what's the goal here? It's not just about checking off tasks on a to-do list. It's really about preserving dignity and making sure the person living with ALS has the best possible quality of life. But, and this is a big but, it's also about taking care of the caregivers themselves.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's a dual mission. It's a partnership, collaboration, and empathy. That's the fuel for this whole engine. Because when the team feels supported, the patient gets better, more compassionate care. It's this powerful, positive cycle.
So now that we know our why, let's get into the how. It's time to build the team. This section is all about taking that group of well-meaning individuals and forging them into a single cohesive force.
And you know, this might sound complicated, but it really just boils down to 3 key phases. First, you identify your people. Then, you give everyone clarity on what their job is. And finally, you actively work on building that trust that holds everything together.
So who can be on this team? Well, it's usually a mix. You've got your immediate family, of course. But think bigger. Trusted friends, amazing neighbors, maybe even volunteers from the community. But you know who the most important voice is in this whole process? The patient. Their comfort is everything, so they should always be involved in deciding who they trust with their care. Something as simple as this role chart can be a total game changer. It's not about being rigid, it's about clarity. When you assign roles based on what people are good at and when they're available, like a spouse handles medical tasks, a friend provides companionship, you prevent people from tripping over each other and make sure nothing important falls through the cracks.
Okay, team assembled. Check. Now you need an operating system. And that brings us to our third section, mastering the daily logistics. This is the engine room, the stuff that keeps everything running smoothly, day in and day out.
And honestly, the single most powerful tool you're going to have is the care logbook. It doesn't matter if it's a simple spiral notebook on the counter or a shared Google Doc. This logbook is your team's central nervous system. It makes sure that when one person's shift ends and the next one begins, the handoff is seamless.
And just look at how simple but powerful an entry can be. You've got the time, a quick update on how the patient's doing, what meds were given, and a clear note for the next person up. It's not complicated, but this little bit of detail is incredibly effective at preventing mistakes and just lowering everyone's stress levels.
Now, for managing who's doing what and when, technology is absolutely your friend. I mean, Google Calendar is great, but there are also specialized apps like CareZone or Lots of Helping Hands that are built for this exact purpose. They let team members sign up for shifts, get reminders, and make scheduling so much easier.
All right, we've arrived at what might be the most crucial section of all, sustaining your team. Because being a care team is a marathon, not a sprint. And preventing burnout isn't just a nice idea. It's absolutely essential for this to work long term. And this is where the idea of respite care becomes non-negotiable. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. We're talking about planned, scheduled breaks that give primary caregivers a chance to step away, to rest, and to recharge. It is the best defense against fatigue and burnout, period.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The data here is, well, it's staggering. Look at this. A recent study found that regular respite care led to a 40% drop in depression rates and a 50% drop in anxiety levels for caregivers. That's proof that taking care of the caregiver directly improves the quality of care for everyone.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a quick look at the Carter family. They put all these ideas into practice when they were caring for their mom, Ellen. And for them, the key to success was simple but so powerful. They used a digital logbook for all the daily updates, and they had weekly video calls to make sure everyone was on the same page.
This simple structure didn't just make handoffs smoother. It kept their mother's voice and her preferences right at the center of every single decision.
So to wrap this all up, here are the big takeaways. Start small with a core team you really trust. Make that logbook a daily habit. Have those weekly meetings to stay in sync. Plan ahead for when people are away. And always, always keep the patient involved in decisions, use technology to make your lives easier, and make respite care a priority. These are the real building blocks of a team that can go the distance.
Okay, I know we've covered a ton of ground, but remember, building a team like this is a journey. It's a process. So I want to leave you with this question. What is the first, small, totally manageable step your team can take starting today to become just a little more unified in your mission of care?